understand the Aikido technique a little bit better in your training, I'd like to show you some of the counter techniques in Aikido. I don't want to go into this too much. This is something I think you really have to study under your own teacher. But this is one other valuable tool to your training. And also from the standpoint of martial arts, you must become familiar with the technique enough to understand how the techniques blend into each other. Nothing is perfect. In Zen, they have a saying, "Nandemo omou dori ikanai," which means nothing goes the way you want it to. Even martial arts, no matter how hard you train, always something goes wrong. And you have to have these contingencies. You have to have these alternatives to be able to change freely from one technique to the other. And this is part of that kind of training. We saw a little bit of this in some of the other lessons, but maybe we'll isolate this and show a little bit to you now, introduce this to you. For instance, I'm doing Ikkyo, coming here, but stuck. Cannot go forward. Don't force down. Why? My timing's off, my power's off, my movement's off, he's too smart for me, something wrong, trying to do Ikkyo, cannot go. Change. If you can't go one way, go another way. For instance, Ikkyo, some problem here. He's resisting me, I didn't catch his timing right, maybe he's standing too straight, too strong. Very difficult, very difficult. Don't fight his power. Okay, I'm here. Don't try to struggle. I'm too much in front of him. This is one reason. Move his side. Down. Okay. Side. Sometimes he's pushing against me. Pushing against me. Now it's very hard. Okay. Step back for this movement. Sometimes you need to break his power, break his timing, strike him. Okay. Very easy. Here, cannot strike. Enough to distract him. Better give you opportunity to apply Ikkyo. Pankyo. This is always popular technique, always very difficult. Standing too far away. Maybe he's trying to escape, like this. Maybe he's trying to turn around, like this. We're sleeping, not applying the tech correctly, sneaks around. Okay, now I'm stuck. Now dangerous, okay? He pushes a step, he pushes his hand back or steps back, going this way. No problem, okay? He turns around, keep up. Just bring up. He wants to pull back, step back. You don't want to keep him too long this way, bring him down. Okay. He starts pushing towards me. I don't want to get stuck like this. He pushes towards me, turn. Okay. Sometimes he wants to strike me like this. Strike again. This is no good. Strike. Use the Sankyo to your advantage. Sometimes Shihonage technique, I go around, but he goes under. He goes under like this. Very irritating when you're practicing. Why? I'm lifting my hand too high. That's why when I go under, very easy like this. Big mistake. Keep the hand low. Go under, turn. Cannot. If I make high like this, he can turn. Keep the hand low, turn. He can turn, but I can turn. Sometimes in a yokomenguchi, coming here, here, very hard to move in. Very hard to move in to do shihonage. Maybe he's too much resistance, too strong, cannot come in. Instead of shihonage, change. Or coming here, turn, cannot do shonage for some reason, move behind. Iriminage. All the movements change. Another example, coming Nikyo. Number 2. Some reason, very hard. Very hard to do. Change. Remember, all these counter movements, all these alternative movements that you make, don't make it just a hand technique. Move your feet, move your body. Whenever you get stuck, don't try to overcome it with force, but create movement. Create movement. This is very important. Do a hand grab. Come in here. Sometimes get stuck. Okay? Slide. Somehow he caught you off guard. Timing's off. Power's off. Balance off. Some reason. Very difficult. Don't try to force it. Don't try to force it. But create movement. Slide in deeper. Step back, down. Turn hip. So I'm moving tension, stuck. Turning. Change feet. Coming here. Cannot throw. Create movement. Okay. Make a mistake. Okay. Coming in here, timing's off. Timing's off. Some movement. Move like this. Get stuck. Always use tenny. So in various ways, learn how to change from one technique to the other. This is something that we can't just say, and then you got it in your head. You understand it in your brain. Only comes through training. Okay? So this is some way to apply to your practice. Don't resist. Create movement. Create another technique. See how one technique moves to the next, to the next, to the next. And in your training, something goes wrong, what can I do? In my training, I can't do this. How can I change to another technique? I'm doing this, something wrong, I made a mistake. How can I change to another technique? And when you develop this through your training, make it smooth, go into the next technique very smoothly, very expertly, very skillfully. Sometimes you cannot even tell if there's a mistake. So you're moving here, and here, catch. Shikko, or walking on your knees, is a very important form of practice which is necessary to execute the suwariwaza or sitting techniques. Always remember to try to keep your balance when you're walking, and try to keep your shoulders and your head from bouncing too much. This kind of walking is very difficult at first, but with gradual practice, you'll become skillful quickly enough. Walking forward, walking backwards, and turning are all very, very essential methods of training to develop skill in this kind of movement. Each teacher may have their own methods, but in this kind of exercise, one can do it as a tenkang exercise, as we saw before in the standing position, or one can make it a continuous exercise going all the way across the mat. Practice the right side continuously, the left side continuously, and then alternating left and right side. Suwariwaza technique should be practiced at every class, I believe. For people in this country, sometimes it's difficult, but with continuous training and gradual progression of skill, one can find suwariwaza as a very beneficial technique. It develops your posture and develops strength and balance in the lower part of your body. It also develops flexibility in the legs. From the suwariwaza position, executing the basic techniques of ikkyo, nikkyo, sankyo, and yonkyo in the irimi entering or tenkang turning style is a very, very important practice, and actually one of the requirements for your first degree black belt examination. It's important to move from this position as if you're walking normally. In the execution of these techniques, it's important to keep your balance and keep your posture. At the same time, you should be able to execute the techniques cleanly and clearly, without stumbling or without losing your balance. In normal training, one should practice ikkyo, nikkyo, sankyo, yonkyo, gokyo, irimi, tenkang, and become very, very familiar with this type of training. This kind of training cannot be emphasized enough. It is also important for the partner to learn how to take the proper ukemi from the suwariwaza position. So this is excellent training for the person executing the technique and also the uke. More than speed, I think it's very important to emphasize the clarity and precision of the execution of each technique. Gokyo is generally done against a knife. So even in Swadiwaza training, you can execute the technique when your partner is holding a knife. Hamihandachi is another method of training. As you can see by now, we have tachiwaza, standing technique, where both parties are standing, suwariwaza, where both students are sitting, and now hamihandachi, in which the nage, or the person executing the technique, is in a sitting position, and the attacker, or uke, is in a standing position. This is also one of the valuable training methods that the founder of Aikido left for us. Ushido Ryo Kata Tori is one of the basic requirements on the general black belt examination. So the students are demonstrating these techniques in this section. It's very, very difficult to get behind your opponent from the seated position. So this aspect of the technique requires lots of training. As the opponent comes around and attacks you, it's important to move behind him, and this requires lots of training in Swadiwaza technique. Also, the nature of the technique requires that you execute ikkyo, nikkyo, sankyo, yonkyo clearly and precisely. In Ushido Waza training, in general, it's always important to be aware of where the opponent is at every moment. This helps you to maneuver yourself behind your opponent in order to execute the technique. Remember that you must move deeply behind your opponent and move close to him. Don't move away from your opponent by turning your body at an odd angle. In one of O Sensei's poems, he says, as the opponent strikes me, I'm already standing behind him. These words may give a clue to the secret of successful training in Ichigo-waza. Kokyu dosa. At the end of every practice, we always practice this kind of sitting technique called kokyu dosa. Kokyu means breath. Kokyu means breath. Dosa means to literally create movement. Do means movement. Sa means to make. So if you take a very literal translation of the name kokyu dosa, make the movement of your breath, or make the movement of your energy. Generally, when we practice kokyu dosa, it becomes kind of sumo match, trying to push him forward, trying to use your strength. Basic kokyu dosa, use energy from small finger, circle. Actually, not only starts from the hand, but actually starts from your center. Move from your center. Okay? Not using your hand. Not using your hand. Not to push him. Okay? Not just trying to lift him up or trying to push him forward. Round. round, round. Not pushing, not pushing. He holds tight, strongly, not trying to push him like this. Not trying to push him this way. Hold strongly, turn. Okay, hold well. Up. Then using two hands. Release his energy. Release his energy. He wants to come up, let him come up, down. Come up, down. Up. Another style. Turn. When I was quite young, training Aikido every day, at the end of class, we always practiced Kokudosa. When I went to Japan, every class we did Kokudosa. And many years, I didn't know why we have to do this kind of exercise. I thought, oh, maybe it's a chance to rest or something kind of useless to me. I rather practice the technique. But after many years of teaching, after many years of training, more and more I began to understand the value of this kind of training, Kokudosa training. Now, I think it's one of the most important training we do in Aikido. So, like all the techniques that you're learning, sometimes the meaning doesn't come out immediately. We're practicing the technique, and sometimes we think, oh, I don't understand, or it doesn't make sense to me, or, oh, this technique seems useless, or this technique doesn't work. It's not whether the technique works or not. I think many times, in many cases, we don't know enough about the technique to understand it. So please train, please try to develop this technique, try to master this technique, and then you'll begin to find its true value. So please, when you're practicing this technique, use open mind. Okay? Use open heart. Don't try to judge too quickly, but try to develop the understanding as a product of your training. And I think one of the very best examples of this, especially in my own experience, is this Kokudosa training. So I hope that maybe the meaning is not, or the purpose is not so clear at the beginning. I hope you begin to understand it. Now let's study the grab to the shoulder. In Japanese we call kata tori. Please don't confuse with kata te tori. kata in katate tori means one hand grab. In kata tori, although same word sounds the same, kata in kata tori means shoulder. Sometimes we say eri tori, meaning it's a lapel, but generally grab here. Kata tori, grabbing here, this attack. And next, ryo kata tori, grabbing both shoulders. Then last one is kata tori menguchi, which means grabbing shoulder and striking face. So he's grabbing and strike my face. Okay? He grabs, strike. So in talking about shoulder grab, we're generally talking about one shoulder grab, two shoulder grabs, then grab, strike. That's right. Okay, kata tori, one shoulder grab. If he gets this close, it's a little bit of a problem. He's too close, he's entered into your space, easy for him to punch, easy for him to kick. So generally, when he's moving, before he has a chance to make contact like this, actually move away. Or he's grabbing, turn. And using our basic turning, entering, or fading back. But in order to study from the beginning, we need to start from the static position here. Okay? Grabbing like this, he holds tight. Difficult to move away. Grabbing like this, difficult to move away. Okay? First thing, before he makes contact, strike his face. Strike his face. When he grabs, you get too concerned about trying to release his grip. You're forgetting about his free hand and his leg. Okay? He's grabbing me. This is useless. I have to be concerned about over here as well as here. So as he grabs, strike. Cut down. Okay? Grabbing, strike. And cut down. Okay? Cut. All the way. That time I can strike. Okay, get up. Ikkyo. Okay. On. Or pangkyo. As we've been practicing many times before. One problem is that in training, if you try to hit down on his hand, sometimes he won't follow you. You strike, come here, come down very hard. Grabbing, here, very hard. Okay? Why? If you need to use your legs and your hip, okay? Hold strongly. If I try to pull back with my shoulder, difficult. Strike, pull back, doesn't move. Use your hip, use your legs. Okay, from here, going back, very difficult. Take out the space. Okay. Use from a hip. Don't use from shoulder. Hip. Okay, use from hip. And this can help back. This helps to stretch. Then hip, leg, back. Okay. Your hands this way. Hold tight. Now it's hard. Stretch. Here. Then cut down. Smooth. Okay. So with the feeling to bring him all the way to the ground, you need to master this particular movement. In the actual application of the technique, you don't break his balance completely. Or perhaps he's too strong, too knowledgeable, cannot break his stance completely. Break it well, moving in. As much as you can, and moving in. Now, second part is also kind of problem. Once you strike, cut down here, when you come here, now it's hard to come forward. Very hard to come forward. If I use my shoulder, try to twist like this, very difficult. If his arm is too straight like this, can't move. I get stuck. Once you come here, turn your hip. Turn your hip. The other part that helps, as you turn your hip, strike. If you turn hip just thinking to grab his hand, you're going to have problems again. Strike. Down with the hip. Then strike. As you turn your body, feeling of strike. Okay? Don't actually hit. That's not nice. Just make this kind of hit, contact. Anytime I can hit him. As long as I know I can hit him any time, it's not necessary to hit. Okay? If I'm not sure and too scared, then maybe it's a different problem. But here, down. It's the opportunity to strike. And open hand, elbow, body stepping. Strike, cut down. Then come. Okay? Don't try to struggle with his hand. Cut down. And turn your hip back again. Nikyo. And die. Same thing, Nikyo. Nikyo Tenkang, turning. Same as he's grabbing one hand. Okay? Then, in your training, you can apply all the other techniques to this katatori. Another point, sometimes when he's grabbing, it's very hard to come back. You use your hips, use your legs, use your body, still too strong. Generally, if I strike using my whole body, I can make him move. But sometimes you get stubborn opponent, stubborn partner, even come here, can't move. In that case, what do you do? Aikido is a moving technique. Always create movement. Don't struggle. Don't fight. Don't collide. I come here, I can't move him, now I have to struggle. No, that's not martial arts. I'm moving here, cannot go back, come side. You understand? So one other approach to katatori, instead of moving back, move side. Grabbing. Somehow I feel it's not easy to step back. Don't fight it. Side. Then catch. Sometimes move back. Sometimes side. Sometimes move side. Okay. Next is grabbing. Throw back, take his timing. Okay. Don't wait. Then try to pull him. Okay. Don't wait. Then try to pull him. Catch his timing. Here you go. Sometimes just extending the fist out, extending the hand out to his face or so is enough. always try to catch his key. Always use psychology to control your opponent. Next to shoulder grip. Same principle. Actually easier. Looks harder because now he's grabbing two hands. This one looks easy. This one looks harder. Actually, this is easy. This one's harder. Why? Now this hand is used when this hand is down. So actually think that two-hand grab is easier. Now he's making this useless for me. And handle same way as one shoulder grab. Strike, cut down. Okay. Strike, cut down. Okay. One hand, strike, cut down. Okay. Strike, cut down. Two hands, strike, cut down, hit. And you begin to practice your techniques. One final point. On this one, don't try to pull the hand away. Okay? Sometimes when he's holding easily, it's easy to pull away. That makes it rather easy. But many times, he's grabbing too strongly. Here. So if you try to pull away from your hold strongly. If you try to pull away from yourself, you get stuck. Don't pull away, except sandwich. And use your chest, use your hip, use your legs. Many times I see people trying to take off. Okay? It's a wasting energy, wasting time, puts you in danger. Use your hip, use your shoulder. Okay? So I'm pressing against my chest and moving forward. Coming here, pushing with my shoulder, pushing with my hip. Not so much here, pull away. Try to pull away. Sometimes it's okay, maybe you can get it. But many times if he's really committed to grabbing you, it doesn't come off so easily. And if you stand here struggling, trying to get his hand off your shoulder, you're putting yourself in lots of danger. Still holding. It's okay. Still holding. It's okay. Still holding. It's okay. It's okay. You want to hold. It's okay. Okay, enough of that. Third style is grab and strike. This is dangerous. Okay? Because he's grabbing you, hard to run away. If he grabs, try to run, still get hit. If he grabs, try to back away, still get hit. Okay? If I try to move side, still get hit. So this is a little bit dangerous. I hate to say in Aikido because I know maybe someone comment, but feeling is strike him first. But not physical strike, mental strike. When he grabs, strike. Okay? Striking with hand blade. So not striking his body. Not his nose, not his teeth, not his eye. Don't have to hit him. Strike his heart. Strike his spirit. If he grabs, this is no good. Grab. Here. Of course, if you don't have a strong energy, this is no good. Okay. This is no good. Still coming in. Okay. Round. Here. Then turn. Here. He's on the defensive. From here, out of his line of power. So forth. Then later he grabs strike. break his timing. Okay, so from here, I want to show you a little bit more carefully the techniques involved, because it's a little bit different from what we've been practicing before. Slowly, grab, kick. Turn out of line. Okay, back, kick his elbow. Now you should recognize by now. Ikkyo. Number one hold. Catch. Out of line. Back. Over. Stepping in. If I go normal speed. So as you can see, we can apply all the techniques that we have been studying in the other texts to this kind of technique as well. One thing very good about this kind of technique, it involves grabbing and striking. I think the other thing that's important in this training is to develop strong projection of your energy. As you grab, it's too weak, you have a lot of problems. You try to run away, you're going to get hit. It's hard to escape because he's grabbing you. Strong energy towards you. Okay? Okay? So I want to show you a couple of techniques from Katatori. Moving. Okay, two hands, two shoulder grip, like this. Again, don't wait till he grabs. Now it's difficult. Use timing. Use your energy. Two hands. Okay, pull. Okay, this is hard. Don't try to struggle. Use each one to help you. Okay, each one to help. One more time. Okay, turn. Okay. Okay, two-man punching. Okay, two-man punch. Okay, coming here, two-man punch. Okay, this. One more time, choke. No, here. 2-man. Choke. Okay, he's grabbing one hand. Two hands. Shomenguchi. In 5-man randori, the main object is not to get caught, so it's important to keep moving. If possible, try to set up your opponent so that you can throw them in order, and hopefully they'll get in the way of each other. The 5-man randori is one of the requirements for the general first-degree black belt examination.